And also, like when they said,
Mayor, we're good.
Monday, September 8th, 6 p.m. Welcome to the Beach Haven Borough Council meeting. We will stand and for the flag salute, please join us, led by Mrs. Baumiller. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, adequate and electronic notice of this meeting has been provided by posting on the bulletin board in the Beach Haven Municipal Building, on the borough website, and mailing the same to the Beach Haven Times, the Asbury Park Press, and the Press of Atlantic City. Ms. Anderson?
Here.
Mrs. Ball-Miller?
here,
Mr. McCaffrey?
Here.
Ms. Snyder?
Here.
Mayor Lambert?
Here.
All right, we'd like to start the meeting off by welcoming Kimberly McKenna. She is the interim director of Stockton University's Coastal Research Center. Want to come on up? And then I will share screen for everybody.
I can lower this.
Yeah. This angle is down.
Oh, there you go. Well, good evening, Mayor Lambert and Council. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I'm Kim McKenna. I'm the interim executive director at the Coastal Research Center at Stockton University. And tonight I'm going to be talking about the 2024 flood data collection and study that we completed for you. And I wanted to also highlight my co-authors there. Not I was the main author, but my other authors are also listed there. So next. Okay. I'm used to talking with my hands, so I might run over there just to point to different things. But the project goals for this 2024 study was to monitor the areas, your more vulnerable flood areas. And we wanted to compare that to the 2018-2019 study that we did for you all then. Since that 2018-2019 study, you installed the stormwater drainage systems, the pumps, 3 1,000 gallon per minute pumps. And we went back to those same locations in 2018-19 and installed what we call HOBO pressure sensors. So it measures the water above the sensor. We get readings from that. We did 3 90-day deployments. We started in April and we ended in December of 2024. There were 274 days of data collection, over 6,500 hours of data collected. As I said, we reoccupied the same locations. And if you can see the little teardrop blue areas, those are the pump locations, and the black dots are the locations of the sensors themselves. We call them BH1 through BH12. And we also brought in the information on tides, precipitation, and winds. Next. These are Holly and Matt, who are also the co-authors of installing the pressure sensors. We put the sensors in these little PVC pipes and install them under your stormwater grate. We take the elevation of that sensor as well as the top of grate elevation. All this is done with RTK GPS. The elevations are in NAVD 88 feet because that's a very common engineering elevation and datum. So we use that. What we did is we compared that datum, that data with other, like the tides were also put into that datum too. What you can see though is the top of grade elevations were all less than 3 feet. So that's an important elevation to remember through this. Next, please. The blue lines that you see going up and down, those are the tides. Those are the tidal elevations that were collected. The little orange spikes was the precipitation. So we got the tide information from Tuckerton, the tide gauge there. The rain information came from Harvey Cedars rain gauge. So we tried to keep it as close to Beach Haven as possible. But what's interesting about this is that in each of these deployments, the normal tide did go above 3 feet every single month during deployment. So that, as I said, that 3 feet was that magic number. Okay, next. Oh, I also wanted to point out that the rainfall last year was a drought, and the rainfall, the maximum rainfall event was only a 1/4 inch of rain in deployment too. So in the summer, compared to what you had this summer, you know, it's just a big, big difference. So just wanted to point that out to you. Next. So our flood events and how we defined flood events. Flood events were when there was a water depth above the top of grade, about 1/10 of a foot, so 1.2 inches over the top of the grate for a period of 30 minutes. That's what we called a flood event at that particular sensor. So stations that had the most flood events were BH5, which is on the northwest corner of Center Street and Southwest Street, and BH7, that was at the corner of Northwest 3rd and Station Plaza. So those were our two more or less problem children. Station BH5 is located near an outfall, Bayside outfall, and BH7 is also near an outfall, but it's in like at a little embayment area. The stations with the least flood events were BH9 and BH12. They both had higher elevation top of grates. And then I want to point out BH8, which actually had the lowest top of grate elevation at less than a foot, so 0.76 feet. That only had 11 flood events, and that was your problem child from the 2018-2019. And what's interesting is now that is near a pump station. So I'll show you examples of that. So next. So I know this looks crazy, but on the left bar, you'll see the water levels in that NAVD 88 feet. On the right are the individual sensors, and they're based on that top of grade elevation. So at the bottom, you have S8, right? Because or BH8, because that's the one with the lowest elevation. The one at the top, at the highest elevation at 3 feet, is that S1. But you see the spikes. So these are water level spikes that we saw, and this is deployment 2 in both July and August. And that's when we had that big rainfall event of a 1/4 inch. I wanted to point out those red or orange arrows are the S7 sensor and the S5 sensor, or the BH5 sensor. You're the problem children from this particular deployment. So next. This is what I wanted to show you. We're comparing water level elevation. So that's in the green. This is measured at BH7. So you'll see those spikes in the water elevations. You'll see the tide. The tide's in the blue, that cyclical blue. And then the orange are the precipitation events during that time. So these spikes in water levels can be caused by tides, and you see that in the left. You can see the spike is caused by precipitation events, or it can be a combination of the two too. Next. So apologize for the condensed version of this, but this is a table that's in the report, and it shows the elevations reached during those flood events and the duration of that being at that elevation in hours. So it's broken down into 1/4 hour increments, but our highest water level was reached at that BH1, 3.89 feet. It was there for a ½ hour and then it went away. Our water levels above the top of grade elevations occurred mostly at BH5 and BH7, and that's the number of hours. So BH5, it was 318 hours. That was only 4% of the time that it was, and so, you know, during all the deployments. BH8 also had the lowest elevation, but it didn't flood that much. And that was only 0.81% of time during the whole study period. So next. So flooding without precipitation, we tend to call this nuisance flooding, right? There's no, it's just it's sunny day flooding. Why is the water coming up? It occurred 80 days during this 2024 study period. BH5 and BH7 were most affected. You know, one was on the Bayside outfall, one was at distance from the pump station. BH8 experienced less flooding, and we feel like it was because of that pump station, even though it's at a very low elevation. If you look at the spike that the arrow is pointing to, that's November 28th of 2024, that's a nuisance flood event. There was no rain. The spike just left of that actually was a rain event. So we saw these kind of things happening. If you look, you have to have the other sets of data to make that determination. So just interesting to point out that this was in that last deployment, that last 90 days. So next. The effect of the pump stations. This is highlighted BH8 in particular. You can see the tides were up to 2.5 feet that day, or those over this period of, I guess it was a storm. It was May. It was a late May. I don't think it was a northeaster, but winds were coming from the northeast during that time period. But you'll see the rainfall event. You'll see the rising tide, and you see the spike in the green. That was the measurement from BH8, the sensor itself. But then it quickly dropped, even though we had a little bit more rain, and even though the tide came up again. So that's where I think that the pumps really helped, at least with, small storms or with the nuisance flooding. And then next. And then our other findings were there were 274 days over 6,500 hours of deployments, but of those, water levels exceeded only 124 days. I think that's a good sign. Water depths ranged from 0.28 feet to almost 2 feet, so 1.7 feet above the grades. Station 6 had the least amount of water, 0.28 feet, for only less than 3 hours. BH8 had the most amount of water, but it was only for 53 hours. And then BH5, one of the problem children, had a foot of water at this site, and it flooded the most of all the monitored stations. The lower flood event numbers may have been influenced by the elevation of that top of grate. So, your roadway elevation might be, if you have a trouble area, you may want to elevate the roadway. That could be an adaptive management thing. We had 44 days of rain flood events, which isn't much for that time period. And then 80 days of the nuisance flood events, out that 274 days altogether. Nuisance flooding occurred mostly during deployment 2, which was the summer, which is kind of interesting because usually we think of higher water levels starting up in the fall and into the winter. But we did have that northeast event, and some of which pushes water in through the inlets. And when we have those northeasters or low pressure systems offshore, they tend to bring in water through our inlets, and then that raises the back bay flooding element. And then we feel that the 2024 data shows that the pumps did work, at least for your nuisance flood events, and that BH5 was the most problematic. However, the last study, BH8, was the most problematic, and it seemed that the pumps helped there. So I am happy to take any questions. Sherry has all of the data sets of the report, all of the figures that were generated. And we're always, if you ever have a question, please feel free to reach out. That's my email, and that's our website. So.
Quick question, are the sensors, were they taken away or?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
We last December, because it takes a long time to download the data and then organize it in QA/QC. So yeah, they've all been removed.
How often do you do this, or is it on request, or?
It's on request.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's very impressive what you've done.
It's a very fun thing to do, because really it's the science, right? You're collecting data to try to understand what's happening. And really, I think the low pressure systems do have a big effect on the flooding too.
Thank you.
It's nice to know our pumping stations are working too.
Yeah,
Thank you
it
very
sure is.
much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kimberly. Okay. Finance report. Cash receipts in the current fund account for the period of August 1st through August 31st, 2025 were $9,308,192.33. Cash disbursements in the current fund account for the month of August 2025 totaled $5,873,011.08. Cash receipts in the water utility account for the period of August 1st to August 31st, 2025 were $380,042.03. Cash disbursements in the water utility account for the month of August totaled $174,574.96. Cash receipts in the sewer utility account for the period of August 1st through August 31st were $329,477.39, while the cash disbursements in the sewer utility account for the month of August totaled $86,576.68, submitted by our treasurer, Sherry Bowler. Ordinance 2025-19C, an ordinance amending Chapter 199 Vehicles and Traffic in the Borough Code of the Borough of Beach Haven, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, to add a stop sign at 9th Street and Delaware Avenue. Final reading.
Since this is the final reading, it is open to public. If you'd like to make a comment, please come up, identify yourself, your name and address, and please hold it to 3 minutes. Is there anybody in the audience who'd like to speak to this? No?
Just to this particular.
Just to this particular one. Is there anybody on Zoom?
I don't see anyone on Zoom.
Council, anybody have anything they'd like to say about this?
No, I think it's a good idea.
Yeah. Okay, seeing no comments, is there a motion to approve 2025-19C?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Ms. Anderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Ball Miller,
Yes.
Mr. McCaffrey,
Yes.
Ms. Snyder,
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes.
Ordinance 2025-20, amendment to the bond ordinance, amendment to bond ordinance number 2022-25, related to improvements to the Borough Emergency Operations Center, finally adopted by the Borough of Beach Haven in the County of Ocean, State of New Jersey on November 14th, 2022, as amended by bond ordinance number 2024-41, finally adopted on November 25th, 2024, to increase the appropriation therein by $1,622,000 and authorizing the issuance of $1,542,000 additional bonds or notes to finance part of the cost thereof. Final reading. And I just wanted to make one comment
Sure.
real quick. I did field some calls today about this, and I just want to make it clear that the future of this property, the EOC property, it is the benefit to all in the community. The entire community, the entire island, and all first responders, police, fire, first aid, beach patrol, and if necessary, not beyond the municipal boundaries to the entire island. So this is a big step for the borough.
Thank you. Okay, now it is the final reading for this, so we will take any comments from the public. Again, please hold it to 3 minutes and be sure to identify yourself. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to speak to this? No? Anybody online?
I don't see anyone on Zoom.
No? Anybody on the council have anything to add?
No, it's been a long time getting.
I was gonna say, I'm anxious to get this project moving. Okay, seeing none, is there a motion to approve 2025-20?
I make a motion to approve 2025-20.
I'll second.
Ms. Anderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Ball Miller,
Yes.
Mr. McCaffrey,
Yes.
Ms. Snyder,
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes.
All matters listed under item consent agenda are considered to be routine by the municipal council and will be enacted by one motion in the form listed. Any items requiring expenditure supported by a certification of availability of funds, and any item requiring discussion will be removed from the consent agenda and discussed separately. All consent agenda items will be reflected in full in the minutes. Resolution 203, returning remaining off-duty police detail escrow. Resolution 212, returning piling bonds. Resolution 215 is acknowledging the hiring of a full-time laborer for the Department of Public Works. Resolution 216 is also acknowledging the hiring of a full-time laborer for the Department of Public Works. 217, approving membership to the Beach Haven Volunteer Fire Company, number 1. And finally, 218, authorizing an agreement between the Borough of Beach Haven and the Beach Haven Chamber of Commerce for use of Taylor Avenue ball field and parking lot for the Beach Haven Chowder Cook-Off and Merchant Mart.
Thank you. Is there anything that anybody would like to discuss or concerns over?
No, looks good.
Very happy to see our Public Works Department. I know they've been shorthanded for a while, and of course, the fire department can always use more, so that's a good thing. Is there a motion to approve the items within the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Ms. Anderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Ball Miller,
Yes.
Mr. McCaffrey,
Yes,
Ms. Snyder,
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes.
I have a bill list this evening in the amount of $989,505.53.
Everybody had a chance to review the bills?
Yes.
Okay, is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve. Pay the bills.
I'll second.
Ms. Anderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Ball Miller,
Yes.
Mr. McCaffrey,
yes,
Ms. Snyder,
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes.
Under general discussion, our proposed ordinance, general zoning. Jamie, you're gonna take that one?
Sure. So, we've been writing the zoning chapter 212, not writing it, actually go through it, editing it. There was a lot of interesting things that were not allowed, like carriages, and very old things that we had to kind of clean up, and it was very confusing. So the first thing that we did is we made a schedule, almost like a graphic organizer of everything that's permitted in all of the zones. And nothing changed. I mean, the square footage of the lots didn't change, the lot width, lot area, the height is still the same, the setbacks are still the same, nothing changed. It's just that a lot of times in the different sections, it would say everything that is permitted in this zone is also permitted in this zone, but A, B, and C. And it was just really hard to go back and forth. And if someone was coming in and doing a new home or whatnot, it was really hard to read. So what this schedule did was really just clean everything up in the zoning or in the zoning in the different sections. So the only thing that changed was that, and nothing has changed. This is just discussion right now. Nothing has changed. We're just discussing this now. This is not an ordinance. This is not a first reading. This is just a discussion. So one of the things that the zoning office, the building office, when we were rewriting the business district, was not to restrict single family homes, because right now all single family homes are allowed in any zone in the borough of Beach Haven. And what that means is we have a section in our non-conforming lot structure that any lot could potentially be a single family home. It doesn't have to meet the 5,000 square foot lot size. So if you have that's why sometimes you'll see like these really skinny houses and you're like, how did that happen? That's because the lot size was so small, but you can build a single family home. So what we want to do in the business district is not restrict single family homes, but change the single family homes as not a permitted use, but as a conditional use. So what a conditional use is that you have to meet conditions, and this is in the multiple land use law. So the conditional use, in order to go from a commercial property to a residential property, you would have to meet the conditions of the single family home that we have currently. So that means that if you had a lot size in the business district that was 1,500 square foot, you could not necessarily squeeze a little single family home in there. You have to meet the conditions, and the conditional uses you would have to come to the land use board and meet all of the normal conditions of a single family home, which would be 5,000 square foot, lot with 50 by 50 foot of frontage and lot width and width. Front yard setback, rear yard setback, and the 2 side yard setbacks. So you have a set of conditions that you would have to meet. Now, the reason for this is, I'm just going to be perfectly honest with you, is we want to preserve the business district. We want to preserve the commercial zone. What separates Beach Haven from all of the other 5 municipalities is our business district. And, you know, a lot of times we came to this discussion 4 years ago, 5 years ago, and it was to completely restrict single family homes. That did not go over too well with the businesses. So I'm offering this compromise where it's not a restricted use, it's a conditional use. So you could, if you have a lot size that's large enough that could sustain a single family home, then you meet the conditions, you go to the land use board, they make the decision. Now, I feel that this is necessary to protect the commercial zone, to protect the business district. I have a lot of friends that have businesses and, you know, some of them agree with this, some of them don't agree with this. I've heard this is my retirement, you know, I just want to sell to whoever the highest bidder. I understand that, but I have to think differently. I have to think in the long run for the success of this community. So I have to preserve the business district. I want the businesses to go on and on and on, and I'm going to do whatever I can in order to do that. So that's the reason for that. That is the only major, that is the only change. Everything else has stayed the same. So if you have any questions or, you know, concerns, I'm sure I'm ready to hear them.
Well, having been through the wars with you before, I think this is an interesting and a fair compromise, truthfully, because I do think that, you know, people wanted the right to do what they wanted with their property, and this gives them the opportunity, but it also, as you said, moves more to protect the business district. I can't imagine how many hours this took, so thank you very much.
I think it's a pretty good compromise considering what's going on in Long Beach Township. Because they're at the point where if you have a commercial lot, it's going to stay commercial. So I think this is a fair compromise.
Yeah, you know, this has been talked about for years and it's not easy. We all have many friends who own businesses in Beach Haven, and it's important, you know, we respect them, and it's very important. It's most important to Beach Haven. I don't know, you know, if we didn't have a lively business district in Beach Haven, we wouldn't be who we are. It's never easy to hear any type of restriction with your property, but I think that this is a really good compromise, and I think that it makes sense. I don't know, you know, you don't realize, I don't have land use experience, so you don't, you know, you're learning, but you don't realize how many sort of inconsistencies there are within the code. And, you know, for example, that you can build a single family home if your lot is a much substandard size. So, I mean, I think it's important. I appreciate the hard work you guys have been doing, you and Lee and Phil, and it's a work in progress. Yeah, God knows how long it's going to take you, but I really appreciate it. We need to protect our business district for the future of Beach Haven. So I think so far, I think it's a good idea. So I support
So
it.
what do we do with this next? Is it just for? Does this go to?
Well, we're just discussing it now, so each of you have a copy of the changes and whatnot. If you have any questions or concerns, you can reach out to me, or you can reach out to Vive or Phil in the zoning office. Vive is a wealth of information.
She's great.
She single-handedly did this chart on her own.
Yeah, this is,
I
if
mean,
there is one
she's-
here, if anybody.
She's amazing. So if you have any questions or, you know, concerns, you know, she was, you know, my right hand with this. You know, we worked together diligently for the last 2 years trying to get this together. And it really streamlines the zoning office, because if you've ever been in there or you ever had to put in for a permit or whatnot, it's a lot of paperwork. It's very time consuming. So this really will save them a lot of time as they're, you know, looking through your permits and going through things. So it's a great time saver for the office as well. So, you know, again, I'm sure that I'm going to hear concerns or, you know, from businesses or whatnot, and I welcome it all. But I really think that this is the right thing to do. I was at the last land use board meeting at the township, and there must have been like, I think I counted like 200 people there. And, you know, they were saying the same thing, like, we're done with this, like, overdevelopment, and, you know, we just want to preserve what we have, and we don't want these huge monstrosities, and we want to preserve our integrity of our businesses. And it's such a fine line how to do it. But I think that this is a compromise rather than a total restriction. It's just a condition,
Right.
conditions that you have to meet.
Anybody else?
At your meetings, is our borough engineer there? Is there, it's always reviewed by our attorney, our borough attorney, just.
What, all this
so-
stuff?
Yeah,
Oh, yes, our
so everybody
engineer,
knows, yeah.
yeah, Frank, he reviewed this. I'm sure Allison had a hand, I'm sure Allison really reviewed it and told Frank that it was okay. Yes, Bruce did. I talked to conditional uses with Eric, our land use board attorney, and how to, specifically word this. And again, this is for commercial going to residential. It has nothing to do with single family homes that are already in the business district. It has nothing to do with that. So yes, it's been thoroughly reviewed. And it still will be. This hasn't even. when it
Right, this
goes
is just a
this is
discussion.
Draft. It still has to get written into a formal ordinance, and then it goes again through a very lawful review. And then, of course, we have a first reading, and then it would go to the land use board, and they will see if it complies with the master plan, which it definitely does apply with the master plan. But again, the land use board will look through that. They'll have comments. The borough engineer will also formulate a letter saying, how it does conform to the master plan. And then it'll come back to us for public comment. And this again this is not going to be like bam, bam, bam. This is, probably, hopefully would be into effect by the first of the year. That's my goal, by January 1st, because nothing can, lap over the years. We like to get everything kind of tied up. So it's a great time for the businesses to contact me, or, contact Vive, or contact Sherry or Mary Claire. It has slowed down. It's a shoulder season, so it's a great time for the businesses if they want to come, they want to meet, they want to talk. It's perfect time. It's not in the summer and it's not in the winter. We're not sneaking anything through. We're not rushing it through when you're really busy. It's a nice time. So I welcome your comments, your concerns, questions, anything like that. But that's the only change. Everything else was just cleaned up. And we also put battery storage facility as a prohibited use.
I saw
Thank
that.
you.
Yes, good job.
And this Schedule 1 is so,
Battery storage facility.
this makes it a lot easier for someone, this schedule that Dee did is amazing. It's simple, but it
Little
really
late
is
for that, though,
necessary.
right?
Yeah.
I don't know. What
We
will it be?
didn't think that would have, that's usually how, laws are created, is because something happens and then
Yeah.
we're trying to be more proactive than reactive.
That's
But we
a
have-
good plan, yeah.
Okay. Anybody else like to discuss this further? No? Okay, well, then that brings us to public comment. And if anybody wants to ask a question about that now, fine, but certainly any topic is now open for discussion. Please, 3 minutes, and don't forget to ID yourself. Mr. Cunningham.
Good evening, Scott Cunningham, 6th Street. I'm all for saving the business district. Let's get rid of the redevelopment zone then. We don't need it. Where I stand on my corner, we've gone from 4 businesses to 20. You look at 5th Street, we have 4 businesses on the street. Look across the street, there's 4 or 5. And on the corner where the post office was 1, we have 4 or 5 businesses. I'm all for bringing people in. It helps me out. But at this point, we don't need to keep tearing down Beach Haven and going such high density. I mean, I live on 6th Street. Just go up to the beach in the summer, you couldn't even walk there. There's that many people from the condos, and now we're going to add another 100 people on 5th Street. So I'm all for that. Secondly, I was at a wedding in Colorado, and they have streets kind of tight like ours, and city council and the mayor were there, and I asked them what they did to stop. They have deliveries, tractor trailer deliveries from 8 to 10:30 in the morning. Tractor trailers do not get to sit out there from all day long, because I wouldn't want to live in one of these houses on 2nd Street, 3rd Street, or where Center Street, Angleside, and have a tractor trailer running, and when he leaves, the next guy comes in. That just blows my mind. Flood, that's why I'm here tonight. We keep sustaining massive damage from people driving up the boulevard when we flood. my flower box weighed 350 pounds of 6x6. It's gone. All the plants, I've replaced them twice this summer, gone. We have to stop. And they had the monster trucks came down our street 9:30 in the evening, the night of the flood. And then we're doing rooster tails down up and down the boulevard. We need to close the boulevard under these circumstances. I mean, all hands on deck. I'll go out and close it at 6th Street, but I mean, Taylor Avenue, Angleside, they're both high streets. We have the back roads. Township does it, Surf City does it, and Ship Bottom does it. We need to do the same thing to protect our businesses since we want to protect the business district. What else did I want to get in? Oh, we don't need work construction on Saturday in the summer. That is just total stupidity. And I worked for Joe Mancini. I built a lot of his houses, 9 to 5.
30 seconds.
Oh, that's all I got left?
Yeah.
Who has winning numbers in the lottery for next week? 9 to 5 in the summer. If you can't do it in 8 hours, you don't deserve to be in business. 9 to 5 construction. No one wants to pay 10 to 20 grand a week and hear nail guns going off at 7:03 in the morning. Other than that, I think I've spoke my word today. You ladies have a good one.
Thanks for coming.
Good to see you. Stay out of trouble.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Chief,
I like what you said.
would you like to speak to the flooding drivers and the flooding? Because I know we had a discussion about this.
We can have the county come down and put cones out like they do up in Long Beach. But even the cones up in Long Beach, this last one, they all floated away. And the car, even though the boulevard was shut down, we had cars coming through Long Beach down into Beach Haven. We have our flood vehicle, well, had our flood vehicle until the other day when it caught on fire after the flooded. We had some issues, electrical issues after that. And we do have an issue. We try to stop the vehicles coming through, but if we try to drive through, we're going to cause even more of a wake trying to chase them down, and that's going to cause more damage. We've been trying to sit on opposite ends of where the people are driving through, and we grab them afterwards, and we have written summonses for it. We put signs up on the sign, on the signboard, on the flashing board, telling them that don't drive through the flood waters. But we have a lot of people who are in the flood water already when the water comes up, and they're the people trying to leave. And they just don't understand that you can't drive your car through the water. So a lot of it has to do with common sense. So-
Can I just ask, I mean, we all know the whole situation but why can't we just direct them either way on Beach or Atlantic, coming from Holgate and coming from, like, closing down the boulevard? Now, the ones that are back in the marine commercial area down that way, but it would at least
We
really.
do direct them up to the back roads. It's that we don't
But
have
it's
the
not
manpower
closed.
to get out on every side street and block
Couldn't
them
we
off.
use?
They go up a couple streets, and then when they
Yeah,
don't see us
that's
anymore,
true.
they come out of a side street and drive through it anyway, even though we tell them not to.
I mean, are we allowed to use citizens? Like Mr. Cunningham said he would,
No.
we have, I know that,
can't do that.
yeah, I didn't think so.
But I mean, we can
I
ask. the
thought I'd
county-
ask.
We can ask the county to, bring down more cones and shut things off, but like I said, where we have the high water, it comes up so high that the cones float away.
Well, hopefully they won't float away on Beach or Atlantic because we know that that's the
Yeah.
high roads.
And they're not gonna put cones on every back street either.
No.
I know.
So,
I mean, it can't hurt to try and
We can have a plan for next summer to try it out, like
try. I
at
don't know.
Angleside and 12, because everything in between there is total, a total underwater. If you had something at Angleside, something at 6, and then something at 12, just saying just closed, boulevard closed, and an arrow facing towards, because a lot of people that were here, they didn't know what to do. They
Well,
didn't
that's the thing.
know.
A lot of people
They
just, and they have
know
no
to go
idea. And some
to,
people are
like,
just
Seek the
idiots.
higher ground. I mean, they didn't. even-
Everybody that we saw, we're like, go up to the back roads.
they had no
And they'd
idea.
go up to a back road and then they'd go down a couple blocks and come back down to the boulevard because
have
for
to-
some reason they don't want to drive on the back road.
We have to try, we just have to try something. And who does the Nixle? Who's doing, because
Emergency management.
because I got Nixle alerts from township, but not like even we got alerts like Beach Haven Boulevard closed from Ingleside to 12th Street. Head toward the ocean.
We can put that out. That's not
I
a
mean,
problem.
I think we just need to just,
It's just them actually listening to it. It doesn't happen. Like
we don't have boulevards closed. That's the thing.
We put Bay Avenue is closed.
Beach
But,
Haven?
yeah,
Okay, 'cause I don't know why I'm not getting.
like, but the problem is, like I said, Long Beach closed down the boulevard
Yeah.
from 34th Street down. It was closed
And we're
and
gonna
they
put-
were still driving past.
We're gonna put that in our rental, in our letter too, that goes out, like,
Yeah.
we're gonna put like, and then everyone that rents, like, and they're on our rental list, like, you need to put this in your rental, like, when they walk in, this is the Nixle, put it in your phone, if it's flooding and you're out to
Stay
dinner, you're gonna
home.
get it, it's gonna
Yeah.
say, like, you know, get in your
We'll
car.
we'll put it out more often.
We just have,
When, like I said, they shut down from 34th Street South and the amount of cars that came past my house
oh,
was,
yeah.
I mean, it didn't even, so they went around Long Beach's cone, well, Long Beach's cones were floating away, but they went around them. And even the streets that they were trying to get them to go up, those streets were flooded. So they were trying to send them up 16th and 16th was too deep for cars to go through. And that was the lowest one.
Yeah.
I have a question, and I don't know if it's legal or not, but if we had pictures of people creating wake, could they be ticketed for that?
You're sending them to the registered owner and then what happens is it comes to court and they're like, you got to prove who was driving. So,
Okay, so the vehicle wouldn't be,
no, it's not going to work.
I mean, you know, so somebody's,
Court wise, it's not going to work. They're
Not
all
gonna
going
work,
to get
okay.
thrown out and
okay,
our judge is going to give us a scolding for.
okay. Just
sending-
curious,
sending
somebody had
tickets.
mentioned that, can't you take pictures? And I said, I really don't know.
If you send it. to
We're
Laura Carson.
trying, so we are trying. We had, that night, we had cars parked at all the areas that we just try to stop people. But then what happens is you have the people who come off of, you know, we're at 12th Street and we're down, you know, at Center Street and further south, trying to get people to go up to the back roads. We have people leaving the side streets like Delaware Avenue, coming off of Delaware Avenue up to the boulevard. And they get up to the boulevard and as soon as they hit the higher spot in the boulevard, rather than going across to get up to the back road, they cut down the road and we're not there. We just don't have enough people to monitor every street. I mean, this last one, we had the most people that we could possibly have because we had all our summer people out there up to their waists in water. And, you know, they don't listen to you. They won't stop for you because they're, at that point, they're afraid to stop in the water. So they just, you know, punch their $100,000 car and go until it starts to float and then they break down
And call you.
and we have to get the fire company to help us push them out of the water.
Okay.
So.
Thank you. Yeah, I didn't know.
There's no easy solution.
No, there
We
certainly
have to
isn't.
Just put some type
We'll,
of plan
we'll
together.
put it out
and
more
we'll try.
often that it's closed, but they're not going to listen to us. And, you know, once panic sets in, it's every little bit of common sense that they actually had left is gone.
Yeah, it might deter a couple,
Thanks.
because when I see that, when I see the barrel there with the arrow, you know, I want to go straight ahead, because I want to go down the boulevard, and I want to do 15 miles per hour on Atlantic. But if I see the barrel there and the arrow, I'm like, God, I have to, like, because I'm, it just, it might deter all, no, a few,
Yeah.
hopefully, yes.
Right. Can't hurt.
Yeah, we actually, we put that Nixle out more than 24 hours ahead of it, and also listed there was the high tides. So we listed that the second high tide the following day was going to be the highest one,
Mhm.
for vehicles to be moved to higher ground, to take the back roads, everything like that.
How
And I
many-
can tell you,
How
Go ahead.
many Nixle alerts, is there a specific amount that you're allowed to do?
there is, we have a cap. It's, there's a certain,
Like per
Threshold that we
event, how
can
many
do
are you
that-
allowed to do?
I think we do like 500,000, but it depends on how many people are signed up for it and how many
Uh-huh.
times it's going out. So like right now, we're at 3/4 of what the threshold is.
Because rather than like 24, I mean, 24 hours is great, but no one cares.
But we don't know that far out. So up until 24 hours, we didn't get a notification from county emergency management whether or not we were going to be impacted by that.
Mhm.
So once we got that notification, then the notifications went out. Here, Chip Bottom, Cedars, we all put our notifications out within 24 hours of that
Right.
to let everyone
Yeah, I
know.
think a big problem with, Hurricane Erin is that it wasn't raining. So
Right.
people were like, it's not raining, but they didn't realize that the
Yeah.
surge is coming. It's not, it's coming.
And I could tell you from personal experience, like the chief said, that when I was personally pushing a car out of the water that was driving through it, I had 3 more behind me that were coming down the same road as I'm pushing the
Mm.
car out
Yeah,
across the
like I almost feel
boulevard
like it has
and
to
then
be
pulls onto the
like,
boulevard instead of continuing to go across
like
the
it
higher
has,
ground.
it almost has to be like 3 hours before the bay, before the high tide in the bay. So it'll be when the high tide is
Mhm.
hitting the ocean, then Nixle goes out. Like, it's coming. You got 2.5 hours.
And
We can do is we can work harder. I think the only thing that we're gonna be able to do with this, given that it's a county road and our limitations with personnel is just more public education. I think that's probably the best and only way that we're gonna have to do it is maybe putting out there what streets can be taken when and see if it makes some kind of an impact. I
Yeah,
think we
maybe
had like
it can work the time.
13 abandoned vehicles that, disabled
Oh,
vehicles in
God.
that last storm because people were just driving through that water. So yeah, we'll work on it.
All right.
Thank you, gentlemen.
That's all we can do.
thank you.
Okay, anybody else in the audience like to come up and comment on anything?
Hello, Bob Acker. I live at Station Plaza condos. My understanding from a message that was sent to us from our association president is that during severe flooding and when we evacuate, that only placards will only be given to one person or our entire condo association. As a homeowner, I would like to be able to get back into my property. I was here during Sandy, had about 4.5 feet of water. I was able to get back on the island once that was allowed. Fortunately, I had a placard. So I'm not really sure I understand the policy, why one person out of 24 units would get a placard, not the rest of us. I am a homeowner. I am a taxpayer. So I don't understand that policy.
Mr. Acker, we've heard from numerous people with the same concern. And we did discuss this at length in our August meeting, and our emergency management coordinator, Bill Tron, was here. And the explanation, and it was interesting, you said you have a placard. You were never
Why?
supposed to, you said you have one from before, right? Right, and that's good through the end of the year. They were apparently mistakenly sent out at one point to some condo owners. Our thinking is that we want our emergency management coordinators meeting with all the other island coordinators. When this policy was set up, apparently like 20 years ago, it was that condos weren't, 3+ condo units were not supposed to get them. The manager of the unit was supposed to limit traffic coming on while things are still in a state of chaos, basically. We understand that some of the towns may have changed that, and our emergency coordinator is going to meet with the others in November and revisit it, and we will also revisit it at that time. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, I don't, it seems discrimination. I mean, I can't go save my property like all the other homeowners. I think that's absurd. My other point is the speed at which some are traveling along Atlantic and Beach Avenues. My wife and I walk almost every day, probably about 45 miles an hour, some cases. And even electric bikes going that fast.
30 seconds.
In one case, the girl riding the bike was going in the wrong direction. So I don't know if there's any plan to put some more police officers on those locations. It would certainly help.
Thank you. You are correct. And the electric bike subject has come up numerous times, and it is a
annoying.
problem. It's actually statewide.
Yeah.
And I hope that maybe by next summer, I mean, the fact of the matter, it always sounds like we're making excuses, but we have been way below our police allotment for the last 5 or 6 years. We are supposed to have at least 11, 12 more officers, and they're just not applying. So, I think they're doing the best they can, but you're right. I mean, I live between, Beach and Atlantic, and I see it all the time too. The enforcement, these electric bikes are a problem. And I think we'll have to talk about it, but outside of enforcement,
One of them almost ran me over.
I
Made
believe
a
it.
right, passing on the right
Mhm.
on a 1-lane road,
Mhm.
passing a car
Mhm.
and just missing. I had to jump out of the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Thank you very much.
frightening. Yeah.
Anybody else in the audience like to speak?
Hi, I'm Joel Sklar, Sklar. I'm a resident at the Renaissance condos on Center Street here in Beach Haven. Unit number 7, it's 1 Center Street, number 17. And I just want to emphasize the concerns Mr. Acker made about the reentry plan and the placards. For some reason, I guess we can thank the US Post Office. I never received a letter in the mail advising us of the, I think there was a letter sent to condo owners advising people of the change in upcoming policy about on reentry. And I happened to read in the sandpaper a letter to the editor. I'm guessing you probably saw it about the concerns a woman had on. And yeah, I think those concerns are extremely valid. I would like to add to those concerns that so the Renaissance condo has 26 units. This would place a very large and burden on the president or representative of the condo association to check on 26 units. They would probably have some, liability risks they shouldn't have to undertake, having to do, to do that, to assess damage and whatever, everything that somebody wants to do after a, government disaster on. I was here during Hurricane Sandy and was able to, I had a placard and was able to get onto the island, and it was very reassuring to be able to inspect and assess my own unit. And I can't imagine asking one person to have to look at, 26 units. And I don't know, you probably know the number of multi-unit dwellings and condos where this would add to the trip, but I can't think that it's looking at the, the cost benefit trade-off. I mean, I would think that it would be prudent to allow all the condo owners and other multi-unit dwelling owners to to be able to come onto the island. I think it could also, present a problem if you don't change this. I could see possibly somebody being less compliant with the orders to evacuate in the case of a storm, saying, well, I'm not going to be able to get back on the island and inspect my
30
property.
seconds.
And okay, thank you. So I think, I think that's a concern. And then as Mr. Acker had pointed out, we pay taxes here, and this is a right we had previously. It worked, I thought it worked well during Sandy, and it would be a diminution of our rights and maybe even our property values, not being able to have the right to for reentry in case of such an emergency. So anyway, thank you for listening to me. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
And,
thank you.
I plan on coming.
We are revisiting this
Yeah,
issue.
okay.
It's not going away. We're going to discuss it.
I'm sorry, that it's not
No,
fun.
No, I said it's not done.
Okay, great.
We're waiting to hear from our emergency management coordinator when he meets with the rest of the island, and then we will make a decision together.
Okay, great. And will there be further opportunity in November? It sounds like we're during a council meeting.
Sure, if it's, you'll know after we make that decision or while we make the decision, but certainly you're always allowed to comment.
Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate your listening to me.
Certainly, thank you.
Just personally, in the beginning of this discussion, I never realized that it was a mistake that you had all gotten your placards during Sandy during that year, but it all worked out. I mean, it was, a terrible time for Long Beach Island, but everyone was respectful for the most part, and I think it worked out. So I switched courses, and I'm hoping that with the meetings with our emergency management team that we will be able to give you placards. That's my personal opinion. So I hope that you all get them.
Appreciate that.
Anybody else in the public like to speak? Chief?
I just wanted to address the complaints about the speeding on Beach and Atlantic Avenues. We know that's an issue. We do enforce speeding up there. It's not very frequent. I know a lot of people will complain saying, people are speeding and they're actually doing 25 or less. That's something that occasionally you do have cars that go faster. The problem with the e-bikes though, when they are able to go fast, faster than 25 or they're going the wrong way, we're not allowed to pursue. The state says we are not allowed to pursue for a motor vehicle violation like that. So us going the wrong way on a one-way street, which isn't permitted, to pursue an e-bike that's speeding, going the wrong way, is not permissible by the state of New Jersey. So we can't do it. And then also with the bikes, we've had a lot of problems with them. We try to stop them and they take off on us. And again, it's a motor vehicle infraction. We're not allowed to pursue them.
What
So
about driving on the sidewalk?
we're not, well, we can, if we
We
can
have
grab, if we can
ordinance.
grab them and stop them, we can do that. But we can't pursue. If
Right.
they turn around and go in opposite direction or they start cutting away from us, it really very soon becomes a pursuit and we're not allowed to pursue. So, we get in a motor vehicle accident or even the e-bike, the rider of the e-bike hits a pedestrian while we're going after them, we're all getting sued and it's,
Yeah.
and probably the officer's going to go to jail for that. It's not permitted. So we will not pursue after the e-bikes.
How many accidents have you had? Maybe an idea this summer as a result
I
of the
don't know that we had
e-bikes?
any actual accidents with e-bikes.
That's a miracle.
It is, but
Yeah.
I mean, I'd have to look that up to see. if
No,
we
I'm
had
just-
one or
I'm
two,
just-
but
that's-
I don't
You shouldn't
recall
know that,
hearing anybody responding to an accident on it for an e-bike.
I've seen them now in 72
Yeah.
kids.
Oh, yeah,
I
absolutely.
know.
Yeah, they come from the mainland, they come over the bridge and they come down here
Yeah,
and,
I mean, it's unfortunate, it always takes a tragedy to make a law
and
in
then
some cases. And
the law in New Jersey hasn't quite caught up with the e-bikes because everything takes so long that, the state has all these rules for certain e-bikes have to be registered after they go over a certain speed.
How do you know? And then if you.
Well, once they're going over that certain speed, and we go to stop them and they continue, we have to stop. We're not allowed to pursue them.
I was in Cherry Hill a couple of weeks ago, going in a very busy street, going from my mom's to the Cherry Hill Mall, and there were like 6 teenagers on e-bikes on this highway, and they were purposely shutting down the traffic behind them and popping wheelies and, and nothing happened. That explains it
Yeah.
probably because you
But
can't,
even,
and it's just so terrifying. I mean, it's horrible. And I was.
Even if we
people
were
talking about
allowed
it,
to
like,
pursue
happening all the
e-bikes
time up there.
for a violation for them going the wrong way on a one-way
Yeah.
street, do you really want
No.
10,000 pound police SUV going the
No,
wrong
I'm
way
not
on Beach
suggesting that
Avenue?
you're not doing the right thing.
I
It's
just,
just so
for us, it's common
No.
sense wise, it also,
totally agree. Yeah.
I don't want to put anybody in that position where I tell them to go out, start going after these e-bikes the wrong way on.
No, and I'm not
One-way
suggesting that.
roads,
I'm just saying it's
so.
just such a
No,
tough
I-
situation for.
Yeah,
Just trying to explain that to people because
Don't
it's
buy your
probably one
kids
of the biggest
e-bikes.
complaints
For
that,
God's sake.
Put in a letter.
one of the biggest complaints we get is about
Jimmy,
the
get on an
e-bikes.
ordinance about this.
Yeah, the
Everybody
Juvenile
is complaining
Justice
about it.
Reform Act and e-bikes, we can.
Yeah.
E-bikes are a problem. We all know it and we're just kind of stuck until until something
something
changes.
happens, yeah.
Are we able to ask residents to register their e-bikes? Would that do any good?
So the problem is that e-bikes that go under a certain speed, and off the top of my head, I don't remember what it is. I think it's
You sent it
28
to me,
miles
I
an hour
remember.
or something. I sent it to you. But those e-bikes can't be registered.
They can't be registered.
When you buy an e-bike online, which you can go and buy like Surons or whatever, all these different brand names, you can buy them online. They go 50, 60 miles an hour. You get it shipped to your house. Well, it's illegal to ride it, but we can't stop them because they're going to take off on us. And, you've seen the roads in Beach Haven in the summertime. They're just too crowded for us to try to
Yeah.
go after these people. And the AG guidelines say we can't. So we're just, we're stuck right now.
Hands are tied.
And then you get the person, like last summer, we did have some incidents like that and we were able to finally catch some of the people. They fled, we couldn't pursue. We were able to get them the next day. We took the e-bike and we eventually had to give it back and they got some motor vehicle tickets that didn't mean anything because they got some fines. The kid was like 14 or 15 years old. It doesn't really do anything.
Yeah.
They don't care.
can I circle back to flood while you're up here?
Sure.
And we were talking about ways to warn people. This would be, I don't know, instead of maybe our town or other towns could have a row of lights, you know, some flashing purple lights, green, not green, red, something to say, you know, pay attention, with a little digital board beneath, you know, road flooded, use the beach road.
Yeah,
But I mean, flashing
I'll
lights should grab somebody's
gladly,
attention. They're not gonna float
I've
away.
asked a lot. You know, we have 3 signboards right now that work. Well, we have 2 that work continuously and one that sometimes works.
We use that one in the front.
We would, they're out there. They were out there in the floods. They had messages on them not to drive through the floodwaters.
They didn't float away,
Um,
yay.
Yeah, the one at 12th Street was flashing with the tide times and stuff and stay out of the floodwaters. You know, they take a beating during the storms
Okay.
because when people drive past them where it says don't drive through the floodwater, as they pass through the floodwater, they throw salt water up onto the signboard and
Yeah.
you know, that gets up into the electronics and that's why they don't last forever.
These,
But they
you
are
know-
very expensive. Those signboards are roughly $20,000 to $30,000 depending on,
I believe it.
yeah, they're expensive. There's a lot of electronics in them.
Maybe some kind of flashing warning system that's elevated, maybe the whole island could use.
Yeah.
And the cones won't float away or.
And also I put these signboards out and then I have business owners and residents who want them moved because they don't want to see them. So we, you know, kind of have that issue going too. So.
Yeah.
We do something with the new lights, like just turn them all red.
Right, do
Great.
something with the lights. There's so many,
Yeah,
every
if-
other
if-
block. there's a
If
light.
the county can give us permission to turn them all red,
Put it add a fourth color. You know,
there's,
slow down.
that's a state thing. all right,
Yeah,
right?
how are we gonna do that? You want the disco ball hanging? I do love a disco ball.
But I do, you know, we're going to have a discussion in the next couple of weeks, I believe. I am going to ask for more signboards, or at least one more, but, you know, because of the one that's failing us, but we use them. They just,
Yeah.
they don't listen to the messages that are on them. I have people who, we literally put a message out on a signboard and I get a phone call saying, can you put this message on the
Thank you.
signboard? And it's on there. I go up to the signboard and I look at it and it says the message on it and they just drove past it. They don't look at it.
Yeah.
So it's not
Like
always
we-
that
The horses.
we have the messaging system. but People don't always look
Not
at it.
received,
And
yeah.
same thing for the Nixle. I think a lot of people get the Nixles and they don't really read them. So.
Mm.
Well, thank you.
Thank
I
you.
know
Yeah,
it's
thanks.
tough situation. Anybody else in the room like to speak? No? How about on Zoom?
Michael Waldman?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, my name is Michael Waldman. I'm a 40-year resident, summer resident of Station Plaza condo. I've heard some of the concerns expressed here before, but I have had a couple of points I'd like to make. Number one, a lot of the homeowners use their resident as summer resident. They're not full-time resident. I think the full-time residents obviously need to get on the island as quick as possible. The summer residents, obviously, we all want to be treated the same way. And with the policy, the reentry placard policy that's been in front of us here is discriminating against the condo owners. I think there's a very simple solution, though, to this problem, and I understand the reason for it is the traffic problem. You know, the congestion from the everybody trying to come on for that initial inspection, the one-day inspection period. But a simple solution would be to give all the condo owners a different colored placard or the same placard, if you will, but allow them to come on for the one-day initial inspection on the following day after the business owners and the single-family owners, come on for the inspection. Plus, if we had the placards when the island is open up for residents to come on to clean up the debris and everything from their units, we can't do it in one day, even if we came on in the one-day period. During Sandy, it took me a few weeks to clean up and, really get the unit back in shape. But if we were allowed to come on, say, the day after the business owners, then we could do that initial inspection, and then we would also then possess the placard to come on when everybody's allowed to come on at the same time, a week or two later, whatever it takes.
30 seconds.
That's basically all I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Waldman. We did talk about staggering and things like that, and that will be taken under consideration. All I can tell you about people already having them in a condo is that supposedly that was a mistake last time around, whether it was a good mistake, bad, whatever, but we are going to look at it, I promise you. Anybody else on Zoom?
John Dorian.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, this is John Dorian, 324 6th Street. I'm just joining the meeting again. It's good to hear that there is a lengthy discussion about the flooding. If you recall, last month I joined the meeting, and there was a lot of, I brought up the flooding from the July flooding event, and I was told, well, that was a rain event, we couldn't do anything about it, and everything else. And then when we had the flooding post Erin, recently, that was an anticipated event, and and I did see the Nixle alerts that came out and everything, and when I hear all the different discussions about some of the difficulties of closing the streets, but one of the things that I had proposed last time was also putting up road closed signs on Delaware Avenue, at least from 5th to Taylor. So if there are some discussions, I would still like that to be revisited. Last time I was told that couldn't have been anticipated. This one was definitely anticipated. The Nixle alerts came out saying that there was going to be flooding, and that was a tidal flood event because of what happened with Erin and the high tides and whatnot. Once again, we had big wakes coming through. The neighbors across the street at the station condos, were getting water in their garages and everything. And so I appreciate that that there's been some further discussion, and now appreciate the police chief talking about it and some of the challenges with it. But I would still urge to to try to address that. One other thing is with the Nixle alert. I mean, I kind of looked up at the old Nixle alert, and one of the things with the Nixle alert, I mean, it just says, flooding is expected through certain time on, Tuesday or Thursday, whatever it was, when it was. It might need to be a little more specific in terms of that, of making the Nixle is saying, avoid Bay Avenue, avoid Delaware Avenue, or something along those lines, because the alert I got just says, major flooding anticipated from this point to that point and
30
everything.
seconds.
So once again, I appreciate that there's some further discussion about it, and appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dorian. Anybody else?
Pamela Bernardino.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I too am going to echo the sentiments of the other neighbors on Sixth and Delaware,
State your address for the record, please.
601 North Delaware Avenue.
Thank you.
I live on the corner of Sixth and Delaware, and obviously have concerns about the flooding that we've had, not once, not twice, but 3 times this summer, with, of course, Aaron bringing the worst of the flooding. I'd like to ask you to consider shutting down parts of Delaware Avenue and or putting one of the signboards up on Delaware Avenue. Had it not been for folks driving through the floodwaters, we wouldn't have had water in our garages. The water came up further than I've seen it in the past. I've been here 14 years. It came up about 3/4 of the way on our driveways. However, it was the cars and the trucks that caused it to hit our garages and come into our garages. So it's the speeding and the driving, creating the wakes and creating the flooding. So I would urge you to please consider shutting down Delaware and or putting these signboards up to get people to slow down, turn around, or go up to Atlantic and Beach. Second item is the emergency placards. Again, I happen to be the president of the Association for Station Plaza Condos, so I'm the lucky one that drew the placard. However, as a homeowner here, I have to say that I do believe it's unfair that I'm the only one in the complex that's entitled to the placard. And again, I urge the town to reconsider and treat all of us as equals. We are all tax-paying homeowners and should be entitled to come to our home in case of emergency. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I don't see anyone else on Zoom.
Okay, seeing no one else, we'll close the floor to public comment and go to final remarks by council. And tonight we start with Mrs. Bowmiller.
Oh, because I have the
Pledge allegiance.
Okay. Okay, well, thank you everyone for coming. We hear your concerns. We'll work through this fall and winter, working out some type of plan for the flooding with our emergency management team and our police department. And of course, revisiting the placard situation. It's interesting because the color coding doesn't work because every municipality has a different color. So that's not going to work as far as color coding. And, you know, every municipality has their own emergency management plan with different, I even think in Harvey Cedars, it's only year-round residents allowed to come through. So everyone has their own particular type and their reason for it. But again, it's a conversation that we're gonna, you know, revisit when they all meet and discuss, because I'm sure that all the 5 other municipalities are getting the same concerns from property owners and also people that, you know, that rent year-round. But I believe that if you do live here, well, not for Sandy, I just showed my license because I was renting. I wasn't a homeowner then, and that was fine. But you know, it's a conversation that we'll have this winter, something to work on. Other than that, I hope everyone had an excellent summer, spending time with their family and friends, and now we get to enjoy a little peace and quiet, a little fall season here, and looking forward to it.
Thank you, Mr. McCaffrey.
Summer's done. Now it's kind of like our time of year where we enjoy the festivities around here. We have the Chowder Cook-Off coming up, the Fireman's fundraiser, and there's quite a few other things. That's about all I have.
That's it. Okay, thank you. Mrs. Snyder?
Thank you. Thank you all for coming tonight. It's a good meeting. I think it's always good to, when we have the time to be able to engage with the public. I really appreciate your attendance. I'm sure Colleen will speak to this as well, but my heart goes out to the Larson family in Barnegat Light. We lost Mayor Larson suddenly, and it's really a great loss for the Long Beach Island community, Ocean County. He's a great guy, fishing industry, just, I mean, really a wonderful mayor and one of the good guys. A wonderful family, and my heart goes out to all of them. Thank you.
Thank you. Sanderson?
Thanks for coming and expressing your concerns. I think if I were a condo owner, I'd be up where you are too, saying, you know what, I pay taxes. That's my feeling. And I want to express my condolences to the Larson family. and the entire Barnegat Light community on the loss of Kirk Larson. He was a well-known man. That's it for me.
Okay, thank you. Couple things. I just got this right before we came to the meeting. Beach Haven Elementary is celebrating Patriots Day. They're having a ceremony for 9/11, not celebrating, but they're observing, I should say. It'll be at 8:25 at the flagpole out in front of the school and should last 15 to 20 minutes, and everybody is invited to attend that. This is super important. Today, I went to a meeting in Toms River about Real New Jersey. If you're not familiar, it is with the new flood regulations that the state would like to pass. They did modify them somewhat, but to our way of thinking, not nearly enough. And there is a deadline for when anyone, public, council, anyone can make their opinions and expressions known. And the county commissioners would love for everybody to do that. There it is up on the screen. Sherry has it for us. The website is countyco.ocean.nj.us. And then you just type in the search bar, Real New Jersey or New Jersey Real. I got it both ways. And then there's a, it says, you go to that page and it says Stop New Jersey Real, and that's what they want you to go to. And you can email the DEP, the governor, and you can read for yourself all the facts, everything that's being done. And this is not good for the coastal communities. You're probably saying, oh, we're hearing all about flooding. Why are we doing this? This 4-foot raise that they're asking for was based on, we can't even figure out what, because it doesn't bear out with the science. It doesn't bear out with the statistics. It's all kinds of craziness. It's going to cost the taxpayers a fortune. It's going to cost the homeowners, the businesses, and there's a 17% chance, according to their data, that there will be a 5-foot sea rise by 2100. Well, they just amended that to 4 feet, and it is still not accurate. They're going to reassess every 5 years. So instead of raising it 1 foot, they went to the highest one right off the bat. They didn't take into account historic structures, although they are thinking of making allowances for low income and affordable housing. So again, how does that make sense? The rest of us have to do it, but you don't, so kind of thing. You're talking about equality. So please do this. The county is really pushing us to do it, and it would help considerably if they heard from a lot of residents and citizens, everybody. And the last thing too, I would like to extend my heartfelt condolences to the family of Mayor Kirk Larson from Barnegat Light, not only to his family, but to his town, his friends, his colleagues at the firehouse, and certainly to the whole East Coast fishing community, because Kirk was a big, important role in the entire East Coast, not just Viking Village. Kirk was my classmate, sat behind me in homeroom for 6 years. He was a friend and a mentor. And I think not just Barnegat Light, the entire island, as has already been said, we have lost a real gentleman and somebody who was a huge part of this community. So I hope, rest in peace, Kirk.
Yeah.
And basically, I guess that's it. So if there are no,
Colleen, I forgot, I'm sorry to add this, but I think it's important for the public to know that we as a council have written a letter in,
to Real New Jersey.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes, all the towns, many towns, I forget how many the number's up to, have written, a resolution and saying, we are not on board with this. And we are doing everything we can as a council, but even as individual council members, they're urging us to do it.
Right.
They're urging everybody. And don't hold back. Let them know what you think, because apparently this was done by an executive order. It wasn't even done through the normal channels. So that's concerning to me as well. So,
and will be the end of our business district, as we know it, that's for sure.
and our historic district will be,
And the historic district, it will be no more.
Is the letter on your website, so if we want to have the same ones?
Would you mind
yes,
putting
yes,
that
that, the website
up?
is.
The one that I think you're,
Pardon?
the one that Mr. Little wrote.
Oh,
Did you put
okay.
that on? The letter that we're sending
Frank wrote?
together, yes,
Yeah.
Yeah, I can post that.
okay.
Yeah.
Great, thanks, yeah.
So-
I use the same form.
If you give me your email, I'll forward it to
Anything else? No? Okay, on that note, we are adjourned. Is there a motion, I should say?
I'll make the motion.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you all very much for coming out.
Have a nice night.